with the other dummy, the vice president, giving his little spiel. And, of course, he turns to guns and the Second Amendment with his angry tone. And he's lashing out. How many more times? And how many? I'm thinking to myself, you jerk. You pathetic jerk. You take no responsibility for the consequences of your policies. None. You take no responsibility for managing the federal government. None. You take no responsibility for having helped to, if not create ISIS, empower ISIS. None. You take no responsibility while you claim to protect the Muslim faith and Muslims in this country. You take no responsibility for all the Muslims slaughtered and enslaved and raped and tortured in the Middle East as a result of ISIS, which didn't even exist before your presidency. You take no responsibility for what you've done to law enforcement in this country, even before this attack in Orlando. The rising homicide rates in our Democrat cities. None. In fact, so perverse is your mindset. So obsessively ideological are you. You, I believe, actually think that when you leave your presidency, you will have left this country in better shape and the world in better shape. Having armed up the Iranians, having allowed the Chinese to take the South China Sea, which is so outrageous, and now they're moving on the East China Sea in a potential confrontation with the Japanese. Russia's so much stronger now since Obama's been president. All these forces are on the move. His own CIA director testified before the Senate today and had to admit ISIS is stronger than ever. ISIS tentacles are longer than ever. That ISIS will use these asylum programs and these refugees to hide its terrorists and to attack us. Obama has no new strategy, has no old strategy. And he waves his finger, and he's angry, and he's going on and on. Not at ISIS. He doesn't even talk about this mass murder the way he talks about Americans and the Second Amendment. It's incredible to me. Absolutely incredible to me. This country will become safer by a magnitude of whatever once this man leaves office. Thank goodness the Founding Fathers had the sense to put 4-year terms. Thank goodness the Constitution was amended to limit the number of terms a president could have. As bad as this man is, as rotten as his policies are, despite all the mayhem he's unleashed through his policies, I fear he'd get reelected. What do you think of that? The demographics of this country have changed so fast. The lack of assimilation is so prevalent. I think it could easily occur if you were able to run for a third term. So he has the gall to be angry today, when we all should be angry with him. And the disgusting, pathetic Praetorian Guard media just regurgitate whatever this man says. They carry his agenda. They repeat his agenda. That was the news report that I heard at the top of the hour that triggered this thought. Barack Obama in angry tones. He said he's tired of this. Barack Obama in angry tones. He should be apologizing to the American people. He should be afraid to show his face right now. Angry tones? The hell? He's in charge of federal law enforcement. He's in charge of the United States military. There's a reason why these terrorist attacks, in their numbers, are increasing. On his watch, we have the greatest slaughter, mass slaughter through shooting, not because of the Second Amendment, not because we need to do soul-searching, but because the conditions were created, the environment is created for nut jobs like this to do what they do. To do what they do. If it wasn't guns, it would be something else. Barack Obama is a complete and utter failure. That's what he is. He's failed at everything. He hasn't united the country. The country was far more united before he was president of the United States. He's incapable of uniting the country. He's a community disorganizer. And when among your best friends is Bill Ayers and Bernadine Dorn and Jeremiah Wright and Professor Khalidi and a list of freaks and leftists and the domestic terrorists and all the rest of it, what do you expect? What do you expect? Now, I've said before, attacking the Second Amendment won't protect anybody. our jails and our prisons, these criminals don't have any weapons, and yet they brutalize each other. And they brutalize the guards. Here's my great concern, ladies and gentlemen. I think the national mentality has significantly changed, certainly since our founding. The Second Amendment is in there because the states insisted on it. That's why there's two parts: the right of the individual to bear arms and the right for states to have militias. Do you think the Second Amendment today could even be approved? Do you think it would even come out of the federal Congress to be sent to the states for ratification? The answer is no, it wouldn't. You have Democrats in Congress who keep talking about limiting the First Amendment, limiting political free speech. Guys like Schumer, but scores of them. Do you think the First Amendment is written? Do you think the First Amendment would ever come out of this Congress and be ratified? No, I don't. What about the 10th Amendment, federalism? No way. They've already written that out of the Constitution. What about the 9th Amendment, which I contend is akin to the Declaration of Independence proclamation about unalienable rights? 9th Amendment wouldn't be included either, because these fools don't even know what it means. Tell me something. Do you think if our current rulers, and they're rulers at this point, if our current rulers in Washington, D.C., had to write the current Constitution with separation of powers and so forth, co-equal branches, do you think they'd create such a Constitution? No, they wouldn't, would they? The states would be blown out of the system for the most part, as they are in many respects today. Well, that's what's happening, ladies and gentlemen. They wouldn't do any of these things, but they're doing them to the existing Constitution. The Constitution, in many respects, says one thing, but operates another way. That is, it says one thing, and the people who are supposed to be faithful to it are not. There is nothing that justifies the creation of a massive fourth branch, the administrative state, which passes more laws, thousands of laws a year, than Congress passes in a decade. I'm not saying Congress should pass more, but I'm saying, what is this fourth branch of government that was never even contemplated by the framers of the Constitution? Do you think the framers of the Constitution, if they were at war with, say, the Islamo-Nazis in the Middle East, let us not see reality. Let us not focus on where the problem is. Everybody who wants to come should come. Do you think they would say that? Of course they wouldn't say that. No nation would say that, except this one. And it's not the nation speaking. It's the rulers. Our rulers are speaking. At the end of Liberty and Tyranny, I asked, and I've said this in various speeches that I've given, what kind of a government is this today? What kind of a government is this, particularly with Obama at the head of it? Is it a federal republic? No, because it has all but destroyed federalism and state sovereignty. Is it a representative republic? No, because the vast majority of laws we live under don't even go through Congress. They're issued by the executive branch. Well, then it is a constitutional republic. No, by definition at this point, it's not in most respects, or many respects. Then what is it? I don't know. But I do know this. We're moving further and further away from our American heritage. And there in the United States Senate today, they were debating on whether or not the Bill of Rights, the second part of the Bill of Rights, should survive or not. These are incredibly, incredibly scary times.